Hello, welcome to our Lives channel. Today, we will delve into the explosive and terrifying events unfolding in Salem on this Halloween Friday, October 31st. The streets of Salem will be transformed into a scene of absolute chaos as Kat Green finds herself in a life-threatening situation. Alex Kyriakis becomes an unexpected hero, and multiple storylines converge in ways that will leave viewers absolutely breathless. Kat's nightmare and Alex's heroic intervention. The centerpiece of Friday's episode revolves around a horrifying attack that nearly claims Kat Green's life during Salem's Halloween festivities in the town square. As residents gather for what should be a festive celebration, a sinister figure emerges from the costumed crowd, wielding a deadly weapon. Kat becomes the target of this vicious assault when someone attempts to stab her in what appears to be a premeditated attack. Alex Kyriakis, demonstrating remarkable reflexes and courage, springs into action at the critical moment. His quick thinking and physical intervention literally save Kat's life as he manages to pull her out of harm's way just as the blade comes slashing toward her. The force of Alex's rescue sends Kat tumbling directly into the arms of Chad DiMera, creating a moment of relief mixed with shock as the three realize how close Kat came to a fatal injury. This Halloween horror will send shockwaves through the entire community, raising urgent questions about whether this attack was random violence or if someone specifically targeted Kat for elimination. Alex's confrontation with Jeremy Horton. Before the stabbing incident rocks the town square, Alex finds himself in an intense confrontation with Jeremy Horton that threatens to escalate into physical violence. Alex's protective instincts towards Stephanie Johnson have reached a boiling point, and he wastes no time getting directly in Jeremy's face with a stern warning about staying away from the woman he cares about. The tension between these two men stems from multiple concerns that have been building over recent days. First, there's the ongoing suspicion that Jeremy was responsible for exposing Stephanie's secret identity as the erotic novelist Anastasia Sands to Leo Stark, though Jeremy continues to vehemently deny this accusation. However, the more immediate issue fueling Alex's anger is the suspicious coincidence that Jeremy and Jada Hunter recently matched on a dating app. To both Stephanie and Alex, this seems far too convenient to be accidental, leading them to believe that Jeremy might be deliberately trying to infiltrate Stephanie's inner circle through her close friend Jada. Alex makes it crystal clear that Jeremy needs to keep his distance not only from Stephanie but now from Jada as well, especially since Jada has already ended their brief romantic connection before it truly began. The irony of the situation is that viewers know Jeremy likely isn't guilty of either the dating app manipulation or revealing Stephanie's pen name to Leo, yet Alex continues hurling accusations his way with increasing aggression. Stephanie's public confession. In a moment of tremendous courage and vulnerability, Stephanie Johnson makes the monumental decision to step forward and publicly reveal her true identity as Anastasia Sands, the mysterious author behind the wildly popular erotic novel One Stormy Night and her upcoming mystery novel Right Out. This confession represents a massive turning point for Stephanie, who has carefully guarded this secret to protect her professional reputation and personal privacy. By removing the metaphorical mask and admitting she is the creative mind behind these provocative stories, Stephanie takes control of her narrative before Leo Stark or anyone else can weaponize this information against her. The public revelation will undoubtedly create significant buzz throughout Salem, with residents shocked to discover that their respected PR professional has been leading a double life as a best-selling romance novelist. However, this moment of transparency may come with unforeseen consequences. Days of Our Lives spoilers have ominously teased that Stephanie could soon find herself in a dangerous situation, possibly even going missing in the aftermath of this public exposure. Could her sudden fame and loss of anonymity attract unwanted attention from obsessed fans or dangerous stalkers? The timing of her confession during Halloween week, when a violent attack is already planned against Kat, suggests that multiple women in Salem may be in grave danger. The Tesoro adoption crisis deepens. The emotional roller coaster surrounding baby Tesoro's adoption continues to intensify as multiple parties struggle with heart-wrenching decisions. Leo Stark finds himself receiving important updates from Kat Green, who may inform him that the adoption is still progressing as planned, meaning Leo will soon have to say a permanent goodbye to the infant he's grown deeply attached to. The prospect of losing Tesoro devastates Leo, and he faces an enormous emotional challenge as he processes the reality that this baby will no longer be part of his life. Meanwhile, Johnny DiMera and Chanel Dupree DiMera, who have been eagerly anticipating finalizing the adoption, suddenly find themselves confronting a major new obstacle that threatens to derail everything they've been working toward. The couple's fears center on the possibility that Aaron Green might ultimately decide to reject the adoption plan and choose to raise his biological child on his own instead. This uncertainty creates agonizing delays in the adoption process, dealing Johnny and Chanel a crushing blow just when they believed they were finally about to become parents. The situation has become even more complicated following recent revelations and accusations that have cast shadows over the entire proceeding. EJ's manipulation and Kat's response. EJ DiMera, ever the master manipulator, attempts to use Kat Green as his instrument to achieve his latest scheme. EJ presents Kat with a specific request. He wants her to convince her brother Aaron Green to voluntarily surrender his paternity rights to baby Tesoro, effectively clearing the path for Johnny and Chanel's adoption to proceed without further legal complications. However, Kat finds herself in an impossible ethical position regarding this request. She may firmly tell EJ that she cannot and will not try to manipulate her brother's decision about his own child. Kat likely insists that this monumentally important choice must be Aaron's alone to make, free from pressure or coercion from family members. Despite refusing to actively influence Aaron, Kat might acknowledge that based on her conversations with him, Aaron does seem genuinely willing to relinquish his parental rights and allow the adoption to move forward. This creates a complex dynamic where Kat respects her brother's autonomy while also providing EJ with information about Aaron's apparent intentions. The question remains whether Aaron will ultimately follow through with giving up Tesoro, or if he'll experience a change of heart that devastates Johnny and Chanel's dreams of parenthood. The Halloween horror aftermath. As Salem reels from the violent attack during the Halloween celebration, the community will be left grappling with fear and uncertainty about who is responsible for attempting to murder Kat Green in broad daylight surrounded by witnesses. The image of a slasher figure attacking someone during a festive public event will haunt residents and raise serious questions about safety in their supposedly peaceful town. Was this assault part of the Halloween theatrics that went terribly wrong? Or was it a calculated assassination attempt disguised within the holiday chaos? Alex Kyriakis will emerge as a genuine hero whose split-second decision-making prevented a tragedy, though he may have sustained injuries himself while protecting Kat from the knife-wielding assailant. The attack will inevitably trigger an intense police investigation as authorities work to identify the perpetrator and determine their motive for targeting Kat specifically. Meanwhile, Kat will need to process the trauma of nearly losing her life and consider whether she has enemies dangerous enough to want her dead. The Halloween horror will cast a dark shadow over Salem and may be connected to other mysterious events unfolding throughout the week, suggesting that multiple characters could be in danger from an unknown threat prowling through their community. Part 2. Days of Our Lives Recap, Thursday, October 30th, 2025. Secrets, fears, and painful truths come to light in Salem. Thursday's episode of Days of Our Lives was packed with emotional twists, quiet heartbreak, and revelations that left many characters and viewers stunned. From Jada's unsettling date to Alex's shaken excitement over Stephanie's book launch and Aaron's devastating news, Salem was once again alive with turmoil, secrets, and the shadow of tragedy. Alex tries to celebrate, but shadows from the past linger. Alex came home with a smile, or at least tried to. Stephanie's long-awaited book launch was on the horizon, and he wanted to share her excitement. Yet beneath that enthusiasm, something in Alex seemed fragile, almost haunted. His eyes told the story of a man trying to hold on to hope while the past kept tugging at his sleeve. Stephanie greeted him warmly but quickly noticed the tension in his voice. What began as a simple conversation about her success soon turned into an emotional confession. She told Alex about Jada and Jeremy's recent date, and her strong suspicion that he might have been the one who encouraged it. The air thickened between them. Alex looked genuinely confused, swearing he had nothing to do with it. But Stephanie, her voice trembling, couldn't let go of her doubts. "You wanted me to see that I've moved on," she said, her tone laced with both pain and accusation. You wanted me to realize what I gave up. Stephanie opens up about Jeremy's dark side. After a long silence, Stephanie finally exhaled the truth she'd buried for far too long. She told Alex about Jeremy and what really happened between them. What started as a playful night years ago had turned into something terrifying. She recalled how Jeremy, in a drunken rage, had nearly drowned her in a hot tub during what he later called a drinking game gone wrong. Her voice shook as she recounted it, though she tried to minimize the event. It wasn't really drowning, she said softly. It was just a mistake, a stupid game. But the way she lingered on her words told another story. A story of fear, humiliation, and trauma that had never fully healed. Alex's expression hardened, his protective instincts rising to the surface. He knew that what Stephanie described wasn't just a harmless game. It was the hallmark of abuse, the kind that hides behind charm and false apologies. He was angry one moment and sweet the next, Stephanie said, almost to herself. It was confusing. I thought I was helping him, but I wasn't. Alex took her hand, gently but firmly. You were young, he said. You thought love could fix him. That's not your fault. Jada's date takes a chilling turn. Meanwhile, across town, Jada was trying to move forward in her own life. Her date with Jeremy at the pub started off well enough. He was polite, attentive, and surprisingly charming. He told stories about changing his life, about learning from his mistakes. But then, almost casually, Jeremy mentioned knowing Stephanie. The air shifted immediately. Jada's instincts kicked in, and she felt the tension in her shoulders rise. She looked him straight in the eye and asked, "You're that Jeremy, aren't you?" Jeremy's smile faltered. He didn't deny it, but instead launched into a smooth explanation about how people change and how he's not that guy anymore. His tone was convincing, his words carefully measured. Yet beneath it all, Jada could sense the same unease Stephanie must have once felt. That eerie blend of charm and control. When Jeremy asked about her own past, Jada hesitated before mentioning Bobby, also known as Everett, another man who'd hurt her deeply. I believed him when he said he'd changed too, she said quietly. I'm not making that mistake again. The moment hung heavy between them. Jeremy's face darkened for just a second before his charming mask returned. But the damage was done. Jada saw the flash of temper in his eyes, and she knew, deep down, that Stephanie's fears were not misplaced. EJ corners Amy, and Aaron's world falls apart. Elsewhere in Salem, EJ DiMera was up to his usual tactics. Amy found herself cornered by him in a tense exchange that left her rattled. Whatever EJ wanted, information, power, or control, he made it clear he intended to get it. Amy tried to hold her ground, but few in Salem can stand toe-to-toe with EJ when he's on a mission. And while that storm brewed, another heartbreak struck quietly across town. Aaron received the news he'd been dreading, the kind that changes everything. Though details were scarce, the look on his face said it all. The man who had spent weeks trying to stay optimistic could no longer hide the weight of reality. Rumors spread fast in Salem, and by the day's end, whispers had already begun. Maggie Horton is leaving the show after a cancer diagnosis. Fans who have watched her for decades felt the chill of loss even before the official confirmation. Maggie has always been the moral heart of Salem, wise, loving, and resilient. The idea of losing her, even temporarily, leaves a hole no one else can fill. Darkness behind the charm. As the episode closed, one question lingered in every viewer's mind. Is Jeremy really a changed man? Or is he simply playing another game? This time with Jada as his new target? His behavior fits an all-too-familiar pattern. Warm, apologetic, even vulnerable, until something triggers the anger beneath. Stephanie's confession painted him as both charming and cruel, a dangerous combination that has broken many before. Jada may think she can handle him, but Salem's history tells us that men like Jeremy don't go quietly. Final thoughts. Thursday's episode of Days of Our Lives reminded us why this show remains a timeless favorite among loyal viewers. It wasn't just about romance or revenge. It was about survival, about women finding the strength to confront the shadows of their past. For older fans who have followed these characters through decades of heartache and redemption, the message resonated deeply. Sometimes healing means facing what you've tried hardest to forget. And as Salem's streets quieted at night, the questions remained. Can Stephanie finally let go of her fear? Will Jada see through Jeremy's charm before it's too late? And will Maggie's story end, or simply begin a new chapter of courage? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, no one in Salem escapes the past forever.